Yoda brothers, what's up? It's the director. Chargers fans, good morning, everybody. Let's talk some Chargers football. I really think that this has been one of the most exciting off seasons for the Chargers that I can remember in a very long time. And some people are asking, is this it for the Chargers? Is this the team we're rolling out with in 2020? I have reason to believe that perhaps we're not done in the off season yet. Tom Telesco's a very intelligent GM, and I feel like maybe he has another ace up his sleeve. And I'm going to share that with you guys today in this video. 10 remaining free agents the Chargers should consider signing. There's still more free agents out there, guys, and I feel like the Chargers would be very intelligent to move on at least a couple of these pieces. But before we get started, guys, if you like these videos, if you're Chargers fans out there, bolt up and hit us up with a like and sub. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this video. Let's start with these remaining free agents. Now I'm going to go from least prioritized to most prioritized. So the guys that I start out with first, I feel like these are the guys maybe on like the lowest of my radar, and then at the very top are going to be the guys I definitely think we should target. Now, before we do get started, the Chargers cap situation. This is something I'm going to see a lot in the comments section after this list has been revealed. I do think the Chargers at this point have somewhere around $8 million left in cap space after signing all of the rookies and so forth. Let me know in the comment section if anybody has an updated confirmed number, and we can also use that in the next video. But for this video, I do want you guys to keep an open mind. You know, cap space is a problem that a lot of teams are good at working around. We still do have a lot of cap space comparatively to the rest of the NFL, and I think if they wanted one of these guys, they could do something to make it happen. What it is, I don't know, but all of these players, in my opinion, are a possible sign if we choose to go in that direction. So the first player I think that we should maybe consider signing is LeSean McCoy. Now, before you guys go crazy and turn off this video, you got to remember that the Chargers are going in with a very young roster, okay? Specifically our running backs as well. You know, Austin Eckler is definitely a very capable running back, but I do think the presence of a veteran guy like LeSean McCoy, who's been there, he's done that, he's definitely one of the better running backs of our generation. I think they would benefit a lot from learning from him, and at the same time, he brings a lot of good change of pace to the running backs, you know, that good rotation. We're gonna need that this season. So I think LeSean McCoy wouldn't be a bad player to consider signing on the Chargers on a very cheap contract. Next up, because a lot of people ask me this all the time, still to this day, Cam Newton. Now, I will be honest in this opinion, I don't think we should go after Cam Newton anymore, although I do see why some people still want him to be signed by us. He does have a very high ceiling, and he's been to the Super Bowl. He's a playoff contender. He really does elevate the Chargers into kind of a deadly force to be reckoned with as far as our offense, which is all great. But I think the Chargers would be wise just to stick with Tyrod Taylor. Stick with Tyrod, stick with Justin Herbert as our developmental quarterback, and just roll out with that, because that gives us more cap space to build around that new prospect. I think that's the way to go, but I had to include him on this list because a lot of people do ask about him still. I wouldn't hate it if we did pick him up and, you know, we signed him and he rolled out with us in the 2020 season, but I do think there's a better move outside of Cam Newton with the guys we have in-house. Next up is Damon Harrison, Snacks Harrison. I love this player, man. He's such a character. He's such a good presence in the locker room. And you think about who we picked up this offseason in Linval Joseph. Yes, we have Jerry Tillery out there. I would like to see what we have in him still, but if our objective is to stop the run, imagine Linval Joseph and Damon Harrison side by side. It would be impossible to run on this team. Now, Damon Harrison's more of a nose tackle. He's definitely one of those guys that's better in maybe a 3-4 scheme, but I still see him as a possible pickup for the team because he's so good at stopping the run, and that's what we need to do. So I really do like Damon Harrison. He'll be a cheap contract. He's still elite. I think that would be somebody to consider. Staying on the subject of defensive tackle, I think Marcel Darius is someone that we should still consider as well. Maybe a little bit more than Damon Harrison. I mean, personally, I would want Damon Harrison more, but I think Marcel Darius does fit the scheme a little bit better. He still has a lot of play left in him, and he's going to be a little bit more expensive, but I think at the same time, if we go into this season thinking, okay, we're stopping the run no matter what. We spent a lot of money to stop the run. We use draft capital as well, you know, drafting Kenneth Murray. I think it would be awesome if we added another guy like Marcel Darius. He will be a little bit more expensive, though. That's the one thing I don't like about him. He's going to cost a little bit more money. I do think I'm okay with our in-house defensive tackles, but at the same time, if you wanted to consider that, I definitely think it's something you should at least think about. I don't know if I would pull the trigger on defensive tackle this year, but at the same time, we've got Linval Joseph, we got Jerry Tillery, but these are guys definitely on my radar still. Next up is Nigel Bradham. You guys know this linebacker played in Philly. I think the main objective with signing a guy like Nigel Bradham, he's a little bit older. I think he's around 30 years old. I think it would be to take our weakness from last year, which I think was linebacker on defense, and turn it into a strength. And I think just bolstering that linebacker core, we got Nigel Bradham, we got Kenneth Murray, we still have Drew Tranquil, Kai Zierwa, and Denzel Perryman as well. Like, I think if we add another guy, it could solidify that linebacker core, but I'm pretty confident in it already. So kind of a guy on my radar. He would be really cheap, really short term, but at the same time, somebody just kind of to consider. Next up, this one's gonna shock a lot of you guys. Okay, this is where we're starting to get into like the nitty gritty sort of thing. I was considering putting this player a little bit lower on the list, but the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Maybe the Chargers should go after Jadeveon Clowney. Now, before you guys go crazy, Clowney, in my opinion, would be a long-term solution to our Melvin Ingram problem going into next season. Now, it pains me to say because I love Melvin Ingram and I want them to re-sign him next year. I think he would be an integral part of that defense still. I think he has a lot left in the tank. But at the same time, you have to realistically look at Melvin Ingram's age. Hopefully his play doesn't decline this year, but it's around that time where it probably should. And Clowney does bring youth with him and still elite play at the position, playing outside linebacker a lot in his career. I think I would run him just like we did with Melvin Ingram, move him out of outside linebacker into edge, play that defensive end position, because he would do very well there. And I think the Chargers are the perfect team to transition him into that. So having, Bosa and Jadeveon Clowney coming off the edge, I think it would, maintain that eliteness of our pass rush. And I think, again, it's a long-term solution to maybe having to let go of Melvin Ingram next year, because Ingram's going to cost a lot of money. If we put a lot of that towards Clowney, it will cost more. But at the same time, you look at that, pros and cons, loss and gain effect of it. I think Clowney would be a better long-term solution in my opinion. But that one's kind of a hot take for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And he would be expensive. But again, that's kind of in terms of thinking maybe this is life without Clowney. And imagine 1 year if we had Clowney, Ingram, and Bosa. It'd be one of the most incredible defensive performances I think we would ever witness as NFL fans. Next up, let's move into Logan Ryan, cornerback. Played for the Titans, I think the Patriots as well. The reason he's on this list, he's kind of high on this list for me as well, is because there is a lot of talk that Desmond King will be playing safety, that Adrian Phillips role, okay? I personally don't love that. I wish that they would just roll out with Casey Hayward at 1, Chris Harris Jr. at 2, and Desmond King still in the slot. But if they're really adamant about switching Desmond King's position, I think we do probably need to target another cornerback to play opposite Casey Hayward. Logan Ryan would be a pretty good fit for that, but that is if and only if we do move Desmond King to safety. He'd be relatively cheap. He'd be okay. He'd be more of a short-term solution. But at the same time, we want to make sure that cornerback 2 position is solidified if we are running Chris Harris in the slot and Desmond King at safety. Next up is Taylor Gabriel. Okay, we still do need that speed at wide receiver, okay? And a lot of people are going to say, well, we have Joe Reed now, and we've got KJ Hill. That's great, but what a veteran like Taylor Gabriel would bring is a time for the rookies to develop. It would give us that instant, go down the field, stretch the field, sort of deep threat wide receiver that's proven in the NFL. And that would give Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert like the best chance to succeed. So I wouldn't hate a signing like that at all. And again, we've got those other guys developing. They can come in, play slots, play special teams in KJ Hill and Joe Reed. So I would actually still like a signing, at wide receiver as a deep threat, maybe slot receiver kind of guy. We can even move, Keenan Allen into the slot. He plays that position very well, and have Gabriel and Mike Williams on the outside. It would be pretty deadly. Next up, we got Kelvin Beecham, left tackle out of New York. He was an absolutely incredible offensive lineman for the past couple of years. He'd be a great fix to this offensive line, probably pretty much like the final piece in my mind to having one of the best lines in football. If I'm being quite honest, like if you had that cast at offensive line, I think it would be one of the better lines in football. So I think addressing left tackle is a pretty important thing. It would solidify that line. It would be more of a longer term solution. He is still 30 years old, but you can still get 3 or 4 years out of a guy like Kelvin Beecham. The only thing is he would be pretty expensive. I'm not quite sure if that's where the Chargers want to go as far as using their cap space, but he's definitely very high on this list because I want to see us complete that offensive line. And lastly, top number 1, it's going to be Jason Peters. Now, a lot of you guys know I want Jason Peters on the team. I think he's such a great fit in LA. He's still proven, he's still elite, he has something left in the tank. He is quite old for his position, but at the same time, you're looking for a guy that can come in, play maybe 1 year, okay? While we have like this, opportunity upcoming with a rookie quarterback kind of cap situation, we can go after other tackles, in free agency next year or even the draft next year. I think Jason Peters is the perfect guy that you plug and play, you're very confident in, and he's not going to cost a terrible amount of money because he's at very much so the twilight of his career. So he's still proven, he's still elite. It's a very short-term fix, but it's also very cheap. The only negative I have on Jason Peters is he's kind of injury prone. So we could spend that money. Maybe he gets hurt 4, 5, 6 weeks into the season and he's going to have to ride the bench, and we're going to have to see what we have in Trey Pipkins. But either way, I do like Jason Peters as the #1 objective of us to consider signing as far as free agents that are remaining in the NFL. So in the comment section below, tell me what you guys think. Who do you think we should be targeting in free agency that is left over? I left a lot of names off this list, but there are some hot takes on here as well. What do you guys think in the comment section below? I'm very eager to see your guys' opinions as well. Well, if you guys like this video, hit us up with a like and sub. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This has been The Director, and as always, bolt up. We'll see you next time, and stay frosty.